California Headline News, Caltrans is working to reopen the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge. It had to be closed after chunks of concrete started to fall from the upper deck. Caltrans engineers are checking the bridge.
We're going to continue with our inspections. Safety is our main concern. We want to make sure that everyone's traveled safely across the bridge. Once we finish our inspections, we'll be able to determine when we can open up.
One lane in each direction had been reopened, but they are now closed again. Culver City police are asking for the public's help to find a missing 6-month-old named Jackson Manson. He was reported missing January 25th. His parents were arrested last month in Los Angeles. State Assemblyman Jim Cooper of Sacramento says the current law under Prop 57 is grossly wrong. He says the prison reform measure gives violent sexual offenders the chance for early release from prison.
There are about 17 crimes that aren't considered violent or serious, meaning that you're eligible for parole early. Drugging and raping a woman, drive-by shooting, domestic violence, those crimes aren't treated that way.
Steve Clausen, California News.
At AT&T, we believe that access to affordable home internet brings incredible opportunities. Explore a digital world of possibilities and connect with family, friends, and the things that matter most. That's why there's access from AT&T. If you are a California resident and a member of your household participates in SNAP or receives SSI benefits, you may qualify for home internet at a discounted rate of $10 a month. No commitment, no deposit, no installation fee. Plus, get an in-home Wi-Fi gateway at no extra cost. Call 1-855-220-5211 or visit att.com/aware to learn more.
SNAP refers to the Federal Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. SSI refers to the Federal Supplemental Security Income Program. Pricing excludes taxes and fees. Service will include a monthly data allowance depending on the type and speed of service you receive. If you exceed your monthly data plan allowance, you will be automatically charged $10 for each 50 gigabytes of data usage in excess of your data plan, even if less than 50 gigabytes is used. For details about data allowances, go to att.com/internet-usage. Wi-Fi enabled device required. Other restrictions apply.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. Former Michigan Congressman John Dingell is dead. The 92-year-old passed away after battling prostate cancer that spread through his body. Dingell was a Democrat and the longest-serving member of Congress, retiring in 2015 after 59 years in office. Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos is detailing on a blog his accusations that the parent company of the National Enquirer tried to blackmail him. He writes that the company claimed to have nude photos of him and suggestive photos of him and his girlfriend, and they would publish those photos unless Bezos issued a public statement saying there's no evidence the Enquirer's coverage of him was politically motivated. New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is releasing more details about her plan to address climate change called the Green New Deal.
The proposal calls for net zero greenhouse gas emissions through a fair and just transition for all communities and workers, as well as job creation and infrastructure investment.
We are not going to transition to renewable energies without also transitioning frontline communities and coal communities into economic opportunity as well.
The Republican National Committee called the plan a socialist wish list and said it would kill at least 1 million jobs and disrupt global trade. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she hasn't seen the plan but welcomes the enthusiasm surrounding it. Rob Dawson, NBC News Radio, New York.
Apple is releasing an update that will fix the FaceTime bug that allowed people to eavesdrop on conversations even if the other person didn't answer the call.
Apple disabled its group FaceTime feature last week when a 14-year-old in Arizona discovered the flaw. It's not clear how long the flaw existed before it was discovered. Apple is urging all users to install the new software. Tom Roberts, NBC News Radio.
There's good news in Twitter's earnings call today. The social media company reported it had just posted its first profitable year since going public in 2013. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Are you having trouble sleeping? Are you always tired and worn out? Is it affecting your work and personal life? Well, South Pacific Sleep Lab can help you out. South Pacific Sleep Lab provides a personal study of your sleep patterns. With their trained specialists, they will diagnose your sleep habits and will give you a prognosis for getting a great relaxing night of sleep. South Pacific Sleep Lab has locations throughout Southern California, including Fontana, and will provide transportation to any of their locations at no cost to you. To find out more, give them a call at 844-SAD-5050. That's 844-SAD-5050. South Pacific Sleep Lab. Start resting easy and sleeping sound today.
Miss your favorite show? Download the podcast at KCAAradio.com.
Are you ready for a new experience? To see life from another point of view? new hope, new expression, new joy. This is your radio hour. Welcome to Viewpoint with Father John.
And welcome, friends. You are tuned to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, or on the World Wide Web at kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John, and I am your host, Father John Reid. As a reminder, you can follow this show on Facebook at Viewpoint with Father John or on Instagram at Viewpoint with Father John. And join our family. The numbers are growing, and every few days we put up a video of inspiration, just 30 to 60 seconds. And so we love having you tune in and join with us and send me messages. I do respond to those, as some of you know already. All of God's children are endowed with extraordinary purpose and ability. I'm on a quest to help as many as possible in fully realizing their divinely inspired potential. Disposing a false narrative and embracing genuineness inspires clarity of purpose. My role is to help overcome self-imposed limitations in realizing one's spiritual potential. And brothers and sisters, Viewpoint with Father John is a listener-supported program. You are the ones who keep this show on the air. So please go to viewpointwithfatherjohn.com, click on the support button, and give what you can. I truly do thank you for your support. Also, I'd like to invite you to buy a copy of my book, Close Your Eyes So You Can See Me. The premise of this book is that we are all God's children and that we do not need more self-improvement. Instead, we need self-discovery. Close Your Eyes So You Can See Me is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and most online bookstores. So get your copy today. And also, the sales of the book does help to support the program. And tonight, we have a guest that is doing something that's really a great charity. His name is Reid Lopez, and he is the director of the St. Vincent de Paul Circle V Ranch Camp. And I got almost all that out with one breath. I'm really glad I could do that. I'm getting to be old. Mr. Lopez, welcome to the show.
Father John, it's a privilege and an honor to be on the show with you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. And I shared with Chris when he was on the show that I have a friend who has been a camper at that camp when he was a teenager, when he was a young man, and it made a big difference in his life. In fact, today he's a police officer with Los Angeles Police Department. And so, Donald, if you're listening, we all say hi to you and use rubber bullets. So
it's absolutely incredible. You know, since 1945, Father John, the Society of St. Vincent de Paul has sponsored kids to go to summer camp all over Southern California, and so I get those stories all the time. It's quite a privilege and an honor to meet some of the adults that have come through the program and still support it till this day. And so it's exciting to hear stories like that.
Good.
As you know, to go to summer camp, we're a 6-day, 5-night program. It's expensive to go, and so many kids can't attend, and so that's why we're here.
Very good. My engineers give me a signal to ask you to speak a little closer to the phone.
Okay.
And he's giving me some other signals. So a little problem with the hearing on it. So, very good. So, how is your camp funded?
It's a good question. We rely on donations and grants. 95% of our campers are coming on scholarship, Father, and it's not cheap to attend. It costs $600 to go for 1 week of summer camp, and we rely on donors and grants and people to help support the program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, and I know it's a little competition camp, but YMCA had a camp I used to go to, and one of the things we used to do is sell butter toffee peanuts every summer to go. Do you have a program like that as well?
We don't, but it's a good idea to get the families involved in sending kids to camp. We work with a lot of low-income families. We work with single-parent families, and Circle V is here to make sure parents can give their children the opportunity to attend, but it's a good idea. It's something that I definitely will consider, for future summers. So we're looking forward to reopening, Father John. As you know, we've been closed since 2017, and so we're working to reopen and rebuild, and we're looking forward to kids attending summer camp this summer.
Now, that was closed due to fires, is that correct? Or
yes,
floods?
In 2017, we suffered from the Whittier fire up here in Santa Barbara County, and have closed due to it. And so we're on the path to reopening for summer of 2019. So we're excited about that.
That is exciting. Now, when a child, now is this boys and girls, or just one or the other, or do they go different weeks?
The Circle V Ranch camp is a co-ed camp. When it started, it was an all-boys camp. So when your friend, the police officer, attended, it might have been an all-boys at that time. But we run, in normal summers, it's 8 sessions of summer camp. We serve over 1,200 campers who attend each summer. And from all over Southern California. In fact, we even get kids from out of the state, like Las Vegas, Nevada. And it's a time-honored tradition for many of them. I watched them grow up at summer camp. They'll start at 7, and they can attend till they're 17. And then after they come through the program, I get many who attend as counselors.
Right.
They complete the cycle. And they're giving back, and I have so many wonderful staff members who have come through the program and are now giving back, and it's so amazing to watch and see them become adults and successful citizens in our community.
Now, talking about the counselor program, when I worked with another organization and I went as a counselor, they had a system where if you were a CIT, a counselor in training, and you're under another counselor, you paid half of what the fee would be for a camper to go. And if you're a counselor, you went at no charge. Do you have a similar setup, or how does your system work for the counselor?
Yeah, it's similar. We have what's called a CILT program, or SILT program for our teams, and they work under the leadership of a college-age staff member who stay the entire summer. But the SILTs, they pay a nominal fee to come to camp, and they get leadership training. They get to work with the staff, and they get to grow and learn under the guidance of a staff member who's in college. And so that SILT program, I think, is beneficial and helps a lot of young people, discover who they are, discover their gifts, discover what God is calling for them to do in the future. And so a lot of them come back as counselors, and it's quite incredible.
Oh, yeah, I would imagine. So I know the time that I spent while I was in college doing camp counseling meant a great deal to me. I had a lot of fun doing that. And there was great lessons because it was also built on a spiritual format, so that you had to work on your spirituality so you can share that spirituality with those you were working with. Not preaching at them,
right,
but showing them a spiritual lifestyle, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So you get it. You understand. You were in the camp environment, and it's not an easy job. It takes 100% commitment. You work long hours. You basically are on call 24 hours a day for the entire summer. And so, the staff members, they grow tremendously from the experience. And in fact, many of my counselors, change professions after working with 1 year at Circle V for the summer, and become teachers or work in youth services programs. So it's quite transformational for all involved, from campers to SILT to even staff members. This summer will be 23 summers.
Wow.
11 as the camp director, but I get a front row view of the miracles really that take place each summer. I'm sure you've seen some of them when you were working at camp, but it's just quite transformational when you get away from the busyness of the city, of home life, and you get to retreat for a week away from for some, some of the chaos that can take place at home. Many of our campers are going through stuff. I'm getting feedback. Do you hear that, Father? I'm sorry about that.
I'm getting just a little bit of feedback on my voice. I was just sending a note to the
right, so I'm not sure where that's coming from. I apologize.
Do you have a radio on behind you?
No, no radio is on. Everything's off, but not sure what's going on here.
Yeah, I'm getting just a touch. Not so much from you, but I'm getting on my voice.
Okay, I can hear it. So let me know if I need to do something here.
Yeah, that I know. Sometimes radio is really funny that way. It's sometimes we don't know if it's the cell service or if it's our service, and so we'll keep on plugging while poor Nick is in his booth over there trying to figure out what to do for it.
Okay, yeah, maybe you can make a miracle happen, but we'll keep going.
That's
what I've learned after the fires. You keep going, you keep believing, and you just keep going, and you work around the obstacles. I know I haven't really talked about the fire, but you learn a lot of lessons when you go through challenges like that.
Yeah. Before we get into the fire, just a little bit, because in a couple minutes we're going to be going to a commercial break, and I'd like to spend a segment on the fire. Now, were you a camper yourself at one time?
No, it's funny. I've never had the opportunity to go to Circle V as a camper, but I believe the reason I do what I do is I had the great opportunity to go to like day camp, right? It's just a day camp, not an overnight camp. But I still remember the counselors. I still remember their names. I still remember their mentorship, and the enthusiasm that they had back. I mean, it's nearly probably 40 years ago, and you remember that. And so here at camp, the counselors are that. We are that for the campers that come and grace the grounds of Circle V each summer. And I often tell the staff we're just planting seeds of hope. Getting them to believe in great dreams and to remind them that God has made them special and has a plan for them, even if life is not going their way right now. So yeah, I started as a counselor and found a way to keep coming back, and it's been a real joy. Met my wife at camp as counselors,
wow.
And we continue together to run the Circle V in the summers. The entire family moves in for the summer. I got two boys, 9 and 7, and they get to experience the awe and the wonder that outdoor camp experiences provide.
Oh, that's really neat. That's not an unusual story. I remember all the years that with another organization I did. I was a volunteer counselor there, and a lot of people met up as counselors, and they found that they had much in common. They got a lot from each other's spirituality and wound up married. So, yeah, God has an interesting way of bringing people together. We're going to go to commercial just a couple minutes early because I want to talk about the fires and stuff when we come back.
Excellent.
Again, my guest this evening is Reid Lopez with Circle V Camp, and we'll be back in 2 and 2.
The loss of a loved one is one of the most challenging experiences in a person's life. It's hard to know where to turn to make your loved one's final arrangements. Jesse Ruiz at Personal Funeral Planning in Ontario will treat you and your loved one with the respect you deserve. Jesse served in the Marine Corps in Desert Storm and understands what it takes to provide loyal, personalized, and empathetic service to those who need it most. The families of Michael Jackson, Brittany Murphy, Ed McMahon, and many others have trusted Jesse to provide them with the highest level of service and support. To work with Jesse, call 909-762-4027, 909-762-4027, or visit their website, www.4pfp.org. www.4pfp as in personalfuneralplanning.org. Jesse Ruiz and Personal Funeral Planning, veteran-owned and operated, helping you plan a personal, lasting tribute for your loved one. www.4pfp.org.
Welcome to another edition of The More You Know. I'm Andrew Caravella. It is February 7th. Now, on this day in 2009, the Black Saturday bushfires in Australia killed 173 people. The fires were the worst natural disaster in Australian history. Also on this day, 1984, NASA astronauts take the first untethered spacewalk. Born on this day, 1962, both Garth Brooks and Eddie Izzard, 1978, Ashton Kutcher, and in 1812, Charles Dickens. As far as national holidays go, it is Wave All Your Fingers at Your Neighbor's Day. Not just the one, but all of them. It's also Rose Day, National Fettuccine Alfredo Day, one of my favorites, National Periodic Table Day, International Clash Day, Black HIV/AIDS Awareness Day, E-Day, and Ballet Day. I'm Andrew Caravella. This has been The More You Know.
I'm so tired of the buffering on my smartphone.
I'm so over it. Next.
Right? I am so over it. Next.
A radio? Next.
No buffering, just your favorite local radio station?
Next Radio uses the FM tuner that is already built into your phone, so you can listen to your favorite stations on the go. Because Next Radio uses the FM tuner already built into your smartphone, it saves on data and battery usage. When compared to streaming audio, Next Radio uses less than 1/10 of your data, and your battery will last 3 times longer. Next Radio, it's FM radio on your smartphone.
Introducing a radio inside your cell phone. Listen to all kinds of local radio stations, including KCAA 106.5 Yucaipa and 102.3 Riverside on Next Radio. Download the free Next Radio app today. 100% free, 100% fun, 0% buffering. Stop the buffer and listen to KCAA.
And welcome back. You are tuned to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, and on the World Wide Web at kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John, and I'm your host, Father John Reid. A reminder, you can follow us on Facebook and also on Instagram at Viewpoint with Father John. And my guest this evening, again, is Reid Lopez, the director of St. Vincent de Paul Circle V Ranch. And if you're getting a little echo, we're having a little technical difficulty this evening, and I apologize for that, but you actually get a little more of the show that way. Ray, welcome back.
It's good to be back with you, Father John.
Now, you went through a terrible fire up there. You're in the Santa Barbara area, correct?
Correct. Yes, on July 8th of 2017, a fire started about a mile from our camp. We were in regular session of camp and had 88 campers and staff members on site when we first saw the smoke. And I was hoping it was on the other side of the lake so that we'd have more time to evacuate. But it was less than a mile and a half from our camp at the neighboring camp. And so yeah, we as a staff we attempted to evacuate the campers. 30 campers and 12 staff members were able to evacuate. 58 campers and 24 staff members, including me, would return to camp and shelter in place in the dining lodge.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it was a red flag warning day. It was 110 degrees that day. We knew that fire was, it was a perfect storm. The temperature, it was hot. It was windy that day, zero humidity. And it's just more and more, common in California and the West. So we were aware of the possibility. And when I saw the smoke, it became a very real reality for everyone. We practiced every year for if there was fires, emergency protocols, but on that day, all of those protocols would be put into place. So we would shelter into place. The fire it moved very quickly.
Yes.
And so it moved quickly. It surrounded the camp. We would shelter in place. 2 firefighters, one a U.S. Forest Service firefighter. His name was Dave Dahlberg. He would make it into camp, and he would be with us on site for those 3 hours. We also had a Santa Barbara County fire bulldozer operator, Mark Linane, would make it into camp. And with them, they would, Dave had a radio to communicate outside, and they would fight it from the air. DC-10 air tankers would drop that pink retardant called Phos-Chek.
Yes, Phos-Chek.
And they were putting a line right in front of the camp, and it would protect us. It would keep us from that fire, and it would go around us and keep going. It would go for a few more days, and 18,000 acres later, it would burn completely around the camp and over the ridge. So, it would take it took an entire community to pull us through, from the first responders, all the firefighters, search and rescue, the community in San Ynez, and that the mission, we would evacuate to the mission, and they were just incredible on that day. And since, so many donors have helped to, get us back on track. But it's been an incredible journey, to say the least. To have that front row view and to be responsible is an incredible weight, and have an amazing staff on that day that were tremendous. Young people who kept kids calm, sang songs in the dining lodge, played games to distract them for 3 hours, and the staff were college-age students who, it wasn't easy, but they made it look easy on that day, and I'm just grateful for the many people that got us through and made it happen.
That's incredible. Now, how many structures did you lose during this fire?
We lost 3 structures. We would evacuate after 3 hours. Search and rescue would come in. We would leave. And I thought they were going to continue protecting the buildings, but everyone left. You had a wildfire all around us. So everybody left, including firefighters and first responders. And the fire would wrap around and knock out 2 buildings in the back. We had a craft shack that would burn down and a health lodge building. And then most importantly was a water treatment facility, and that facility is like about 3/4 of a mile above our camp, and that would burn down. And that's what's really keeping us from opening. So that's once we're in the process of getting that rebuilt and back online, and once we have water, and that's the key. Water is the key to everything. Once you got water, you're good. So once we get the water back, we are ready to go. We've been cleaning up. It costs over $400,000 to clean up the facility, but we're back on track and excited about welcoming campers and children back to Circle V, and get back to what we do best.
Oh yeah, and imagine the stories you're going to have to tell them now about the importance of working together, because it sounds like it was a tremendous group effort to keep everybody safe, executing the emergency plan. And I really take my hat off to you. That's called functioning under real pressure. I couldn't think of anything more stressful than that.
Yeah, under difficult situations, the character, comes to the top. You're who you are, and the staff members displayed exceptional leadership skills that you just in awe. And I am completely blessed to know so many great people, from the staff members to first responders. There are a lot of sacrifice. And rightfully so, we do it again for the young people that were at camp. I think about them most, and they were tremendous. I want to make it clear that they were tremendous on that day. They had to stay calm. They had to trust. They had to understand, and get through it all. And so that's not easy. And so together, one of our themes at camp is we are family.
Yes.
One of the days of a week of camp is we are family. And it reminds us that no matter where you come from or who you are, that we're all part of this human family. And we learn to trust. You learn to cooperate. You learn to work together. And boy, it was amazing to watch on that day. Because
sounds like it.
To be honest, when you look at it, the fire is coming. There's a lot of uncertainty, and then there's a lot of trust. I trust in each other, right, in the group, but really a lot of faith in God, who I think is the foundation of it all. I hear a lot of stories since then, and people say, we were praying for you. Once we found out, we stopped what we were doing, and our group is praying. I heard this from U.S. Forest Service firefighters, and they're probably can't even share that, but they were sharing, they were praying for us.
Yes.
And that's it. It comes down to the foundation of faith, right? And we're not talking we're just talking in a simple, basic form of prayer, of faith, of believing, because it's our young people that's most important.
Mm-hmm.
They are the leaders of tomorrow. They are the ones that are going to make the difference. And that's why we do camp. That's why we're outdoors. Father John, of course, we have lots of old-fashioned fun, and you've been to camp. You know how much fun it is.
Yes.
But it's not like our goal. It's that's the byproduct. Really, the goal is to grow our young people to be good citizens, right? And so the way they do it here is, and they learn it, is by example, mentoring. And so, man, I can't tell you how proud I am of the staff. Every summer, we have some Circle V staff who come year after year, alumni that come visit, and it's amazing.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm curious, and I know this is going to sound like an odd question, but when you were all sheltering in place, had the power gone out? Were you still able to have any air conditioning? Because you mentioned it was 110 degrees out, and were you able at least to keep the kids cool for a little bit in the what we would call the mess hall where I came from?
Right. So that's a good question. So I'd say for about an hour and a half, we had power and telephones, and then they would go down probably an hour into it. So, that was, we lost connection to the outside. We couldn't make any more phone calls. The only outside communication we had was Dave Dahlberg's radio, and that was key. But the power would go down. So you can imagine the challenge was that, and the understanding of what was going on, and so it was part of it. And so and so one of the big things we didn't have was one of those the big generators where you can power your walk-in freezers and refrigerators and power the electricity in the for your dining hall. So we got a tremendous donation to make that happen. So when we come back, things like that will be in place. Because after you assess going through something like that, you realize you can do things and improve things and be better. And obviously our protocols were in place, but you learn a lot from things like that. And so I can tell you, I'm excited that generator is going in soon, and so we're excited about that.
Now, for cleanup, are people volunteering their time to come help clean the facility? And because there's got to be quite a mess left over from not just what the firefighters had to do to put the fire out.
So all of that, right. So all of the fire debris has been cleaned up, and that was cleaned up by professionals. You don't want that kind of material in the hands of volunteers. And so we had professionals come in to do that, but in the spring, we're having work weekends in the spring once the rains, and we'll have work groups that are, because so many people want to help us. And there's we have some trees that have fallen and fireproofing to do and benches to paint and those kind of things that will enhance as we come back. And so, yes, those things are being planned in the spring, right before summer camp begins.
Now, if some of my listeners would like to be involved and help with that, are you open to other people coming up, registering and volunteering, or how would that work? Or
Father John, there's a tremendous amount of work. So if you have listeners that would like to come up to Santa Barbara, up in the mountains of Santa Barbara, and help us for a day, on our website we'll be posting when those work weekends will happen. If they can't make it to those, they can always contact us through the website or our Facebook page and get involved. And so there will be opportunities. So if there's groups out there that, they have, whether it's they experience in chainsaws or weed whackers or just want to rake and help us clean up, would be fantastic, or paint. So we'll be looking for that. We're at circlevranchcamp.org, or we have a Facebook page for Circle V Ranch Camp as well.
Good. And what I'll do is I'll put a link on our show page as well. So when we email each other tomorrow, if you'd send me the link, I'll put it on our website as well for the show and on our Facebook page so people can get a hold of you directly if that's okay with you.
That'd be incredible. We'd appreciate that.
Now, after going through this, I would imagine there needed to be some traumatic debriefing. What has that been like?
Yeah, so as far as with the staff, correct?
The staff and with you, of course, as director.
Sure,
Here
yeah.
you were in charge of all these people and trying to keep everyone safe.
Yeah, I often share that, we didn't lose anyone. Thankfully, I'm so thankful. Like, you just don't know with the wildfires, and you've seen other fires, and you're like, wow, like that's just incredible the things that can happen. So we were fortunate. We're thankful. 95% of our camp is still here. The trees are good. We're ready for camp. But we lost some buildings. We lost a season of summer last year. So in a way, you had to go through the stages of grief. We didn't lose somebody, but we lost, part of our camp. We lost the season, and you have to go through that. And for the listeners out there, if you've lost something, or you're missing something, or something happened that was traumatic, whether it was a job loss, right? And so for us, it felt like a job loss because there was no summer.
Mm-hmm.
You go through those stages of grief, and you have to go through the process and debrief it and talk about it and process it, and it takes time. And I definitely can attest that that was the case for me and for others that were part of it. And so that's my prayer that everyone, your listeners out there, would know. Hey, if you're going through something, talk about it. Talk to someone. Go through it, because at first you deny it, right? You're like, I'm fine. But, it takes a lot when you go through something big like going through a wildfire. And obviously, maybe not a lot of people have gone through a wildfire. Maybe some of your listeners have. But whether it's a physical wildfire or a metaphorical wildfire, it still can be, heavy. It can still be where you have to talk about it. Right? I'm always making sure that the staff and our campers are good, and trying to reach out to them and make sure as they come back that they'll be ready to go. Because it's tough. It's tough. But you learn from it. Here's the thing: the journey of life, as Father, has some challenges, has its ups. We celebrate all those, and has some downs where it can be tough. And the road gets narrow. The exciting thing about I think for Circle V is that you never feel like you do it alone, right? It's the community, whether it's the campers and staff or the partners that we have in donors. I feel like you're never alone. They have really, so many people have really encouraged and got us to this point to say, hey, it's time to get back to what St. Vincent de Paul does best, and it's serving the needs of the young people.
Yes, absolutely. And, some of the people who lost homes in that fire, while it may not be a living person that has died, there's a part of us that is connected with the structures around us. And so we still suffer that loss of something not being the way we've always known it. And even when we get into, the new space, there's always that part that longs for the old memory, how it used to be in that adjustment period of what may be really nice, it's not what it once was. And sometimes people feel guilty when they receive that, because they say, well, people have really worked hard to get this back for us. Why do I feel sad still Well, because your life has been changed unexpectedly, and you said it so well. It is a grief process, and we actually grieve the fact that we survived.
Yes.
And that's a whole system in itself. Well, we need to come up to our next commercial break. Again, my guest this evening is Reid Lopez. He's the director of Circle V Ranch Camp, and we'll be back in 2 and 2.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292FQ Riverside, and K293CF Moreno Valley.
The loss of a loved one is one of the most challenging experiences in a person's life. It's hard to know where to turn to make your loved one's final arrangements. Jesse Ruiz at Personal Funeral Planning in Ontario will treat you and your loved one with the respect you deserve. Jesse served in the Marine Corps in Desert Storm and understands what it takes to provide loyal, personalized, and empathetic service to those who need it most. The families of Michael Jackson, Brittany Murphy, Ed McMahon, and many others have trusted Jesse to provide them with the highest level of service and support. To work with Jesse, call 909-762-4027, 909-762-4027, or visit their website, www.4pfp.org. www.4pfp as in personalfuneralplanning.org. Jesse Ruiz and Personal Funeral Planning, veteran-owned and operated, helping you plan a personal, lasting tribute for your loved one. www.4pfp.org.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Glenn Anderson. Your forecast for the rest of this evening calls for mostly clear skies. We could see an overnight low around 38 degrees. Sunshine on the way for your Friday with a high near 61. There's a chance of showers Friday night, and it looks like a chance of showers on Saturday before giving away to sunshine on Sunday. I'm Glenn Anderson, broadcasting live from the Tri-City Center at the 10 and 210 freeways with the trifecta of talk in Southern California. KCAA 102.3 FM Riverside, 106.5 FM Redlands, and The Legacy. That's 1050 AM Loma Linda, San Bernardino.
Back, you are tuned to KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, and on the World Wide Web at kcaaradio.com. This is Viewpoint with Father John, and I am your host, Father John Reid. And brothers and sisters, I do want to remind you that Viewpoint with Father John is a listener-supported show. You are the ones who keep us on the air each week. So please go to viewpointwithfatherjohn.com, click on the support button, and give what you can. I really am grateful for what you're able to give to keep us on the air. Also, I would like, again, to invite you to buy a copy of my book, Close Your Eyes So You Can See Me. And again, the premise of this book is that we are all God's children. He doesn't have stepchildren. And that we do not need one more ounce of self-improvement. What we need is self-discovery. When we discover the true self, we find our relationship with God. So that's Close Your Eyes So You Can See Me, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and most online bookstores. Again, I want to welcome back my guest this evening, Mr. Reid Lopez, who is the director of St. Vincent de Paul's Circle V Ranch Camp. And he's sharing some very important experiences with us. Now, going back to the camp, when a camper comes up there, what kind of activities would they experience?
That's a great question. For 6 days and 5 nights, they'll experience hiking. We have swimming activities, sports activities, arts and crafts, drumming, you name it. We're outside. We're hardly inside, but we're outside with so many activities for 6 days and 5 nights. We have a beach trip. We take a field trip out of camp one of the days. But mainly we're, experience the awe and wonder of the outdoors, going a lot of hiking trails, and it's just a lot of old-fashioned fun out there, Father.
Now, do they have any archery or anything like that?
We do. We have archery. In fact, that's our last summer was probably the place to be. Archery was fun. Obviously, if it's on a hot day, we're gonna be at the pool. So, in fact, it's amazing. A lot of our campers that come, they don't get to go to the pool. You think, well, most kids, get to go to the pool, but here at camp, for many of our campers, they don't go to the pool, and so they're at the pool a lot. I'm surprised, how many kids who live in Los Angeles County have never been to the beach, Father. So things like that, I think, getting kids outdoors and being out in the forest and nature is life-changing. So we don't have a lot of bells and whistles, Father, but the staff are incredible, make camp come to life. It's amazing to watch, from skit night to theme nights where we're dressing up as pirates or getting slimed. I mean, it's just old-fashioned fun where kids can be themselves and willing to risk and get out there and be silly too. So it's exciting.
Well, I was thinking if you combine the swimming with the archery, you can bring a whole new skill level to Marco Polo. But I don't know the parents would approve of that too much.
No, yeah, we want to be creative, but we're always safe.
Yeah, Nick is just rolling his eyes at me. He's our engineer, and he's been waiting all night to see what I was going to do because he knows I can't get through a single episode without saying something that we have to wonder if we're going to hear from the FCC about. So,
oh man!
So that was our FCC moment, and
I love it.
Forgive me. I mean, we
you
that
have
was
to have a sense of humor. That's for sure.
Yeah,
that's the key.
You talk about the hiking, and I think that's so important. I know when I was going to camp, getting introduced to nature and the outdoors, I grew up in a really rough home, and that was the place where it was safe. And I could really feel the presence of God was being in nature on those hikes, feeling the breeze blow against me, smelling the different plant life.
Oh, that's it.
And I would imagine some of the children, the young people that you're working with, that may be one of the highlights of their spiritual experience is getting to go to a place where it's safe, where people aren't throwing things at each other and they're not screaming at each other for 6 days and 5 nights. And I would imagine you see a lot of kids, some kids come up there with some behavioral issues from their environment, that this is a place where they can maybe settle down a little bit and find out they don't have to act out as much. Would that be an accurate statement?
Yeah, it's so true. We get a number of kids that come from foster care and group homes, and where they don't have their parents as positive role models. Something has happened where they've been removed, and they're in an environment where they don't feel safe sometimes, or they're struggling with who they are, and they come to camp with all of those things, right? They come to camp and they're angry at what's going on in their world, and they might be sad, but they're acting out. And I can think of many campers. I remember not too long ago getting a camper who came from the inner city of Los Angeles and wasn't doing well. It was like his first full day and wanted to go home.
Yes.
And we were talking. I was asking about home, trying to find out what's going on, and it's tough. He wasn't with his parents. He was in a group home, and he didn't get along with his brother. And heavy things where his dad committed suicide. Now think about being 12 years old and knowing your dad, ended his life, and the feelings that come with that. And so we're talking, and I just said, hey, give it a chance. I know it's foreign. I know singing's not your thing, and I know, the group is different, but give it a chance. Just try and just see what one day can do. Get out there and try a few activities, right? And so reluctantly he did. And I didn't see him for the rest of the week until the last day. And I remember him coming to me in tears and saying, I don't want to go home.
Yes.
And for many, even for us, I've been doing this for a while, you just want to stay in that moment, that place where God is. And I don't know what it is about nature, but what you experienced at the camp you were at, I experienced the same thing. Mm-hmm. And there's something about communing in nature where you feel the presence of God in a way that, I don't know, it's the best place ever. And that's what these young people are experiencing.
I would be willing to wager, and I'm not a betting man, but I'd be willing to wager that at some point there's a high probability that young man will come back as a counselor to pass on to somebody else. I can remember I had a kid in my cabin who had a lot of issues, a lot of anger, And I just kind of worked with them all week, and you know, they had a tendency to give me some of the rougher kids. They never asked my methods of how I dealt with them, and it was nothing abusive. But you know, so we did what we had to do, and the next year I saw that he signed up as my CIT, and there was a couple times we had some real, you know, Dutch uncle talks, so to speak. And I said, "You realize you're in my cabin? You want to go under another leader?" He said, "No, I requested to be under you because you taught me an important lesson about how it doesn't pay to be a bully and how other people are affected by it. And I wanted to be like you.
Wow.
And so I wanted to train under you as a counselor." And, you know, it touched me deeply.
Yeah.
You know, we don't do therapy at camp, but what we do is we give a few life skills, and we do the most important thing that therapy is really about, which is to love unconditionally.
Unconditionally. Well, we need to bring you back to Circle. You need to come to Circle V and visit us this summer, because you're the perfect counselor. You get it. You understand it, and that's the key, right? It's really walking the journey with them and not giving up on them, even when they fall short of you know, who God calls us all to be. When our young people fall short, and they will.
Sure.
That we're always forgiving. We're always, you know, continuing to like give them a second chance. And when the young people that come to Circle V or wherever whether it's a church or whether it's their neighborhoods and their cities, that everyone feels that. And we live in a time that's so fast, from social media to you know, the internet and TV. Well, we're too busy. We need to slow down.
Yes.
I was talking to someone recently. I said, "Don't forget to play," and he was like, he's like 55. I said, "Don't forget to play." The kids remind you to play.
Yes. Well, you know, people who come to me for counseling, I do a lot of counseling work, and when they ask if they're normal, I say, I think the question when I ask is, "Are you healthy?" Because normal is just 98.6. Healthy people can do three things. Healthy people can work, healthy people can play, healthy people can love. If you can do all three of those things, you're healthy. And sometimes these kids don't know what it is to be healthy because of the fact that they have the impedance of life situations. And so camp is very important so they can go and see there's something other than what they're seeing day to day, that there are some people who can accept them for who they are.
Yes.
And be able to help them with behavior issues, but love them while they're doing it. Not just be a disciplinarian, which, you know, all kids know how to be yelled at. Some kids don't know how to be shaped with love.
So true.
So
true. And all you need is a glimpse. If you get a glimpse of that, what you're speaking about, it could last you a lifetime.
Oh, yes.
It can last a lifetime. In fact, even for us as we speak, we're talking about, you know, our camp experiences a long time ago. We remember those. And when you encounter that as a young person, sometimes that's all you need to, you know, to be successful and to remember who we're called to be.
Well, where I went, we had what was called a ragger program, different colored rags, and different camps have different things. And we had to learn to trust. We would write a spiritual challenge for ourselves for that year. And then we would have someone who would counsel us on it, and then we put a blindfold on, and we'd be guided along a trail with different places we would stop and say, "Guide, I have so-and-so here who's trying to get to this level. What advice would you give them?" And then they would have a little question and answer period there. Then you go to the next guide post until you got to the different levels in this circle, square, and triangle. And you had to be a certain level to get to each one. But every year, when you go back, you look at your challenge, because they'd keep it there at the camp. And you'd ask yourself, did you keep this challenge to the best of your ability? What new challenges are you going to make? Do you have anything like that at Circle V camp?
We do. So we have, even for especially our older teams, as you get older, our older teams are, you know, looking to learn how to be leaders, right?
Yes.
One of the activities, we have a leadership program. You know, you have your low ropes course. We have that. But one of our activities is called Hold the Rope. I don't know if you might have heard of it, but we've been doing it for a while. And all the teens on the last full day hold this, it's a tug-of-war rope. It's a heavy rope. And they go on a hike. And the person in the front is bleeding, and you can feel the heaviness of everyone behind you. And you have to go together. And you can't let go of the rope. And so when one person gets tired, you have to wait and stop as a group. And so, when you hike together and as you live this life, it's meant to be a walk together.
Yes.
Whether it's the listeners that are listening or, your family, it's meant to walk together. And when it gets tough, and it will, our young people are reminded, don't let go of the rope, even when it gets tough. And you got other people to take the lead when you can't do it anymore, and you need to push up that hill. But don't let go of the rope. So things like that, that we do at camp. I love your Riger program. I might have to steal it from you, Father, because that's a great thing. So we do all kinds of things. We have, you have morning chapel where you have a theme of the day, and throughout the day you're finding ways to live out that theme. One of them is God doesn't make junk.
Yes.
And sometimes, at home, people are good at telling you all the things you're not good at or how you're not good. But at camp, we want to remind them that, God's made you special, and finding ways of what that is throughout the day. And so, we do that, and the campers are challenged to find the specialness in one another and in themselves. So it's woven throughout camp, all those things that you're talking about.
Well, it's beautiful. You're talking about the premise, and I'm not saying to sell more books, but you're talking about the premise of my book when you say that God doesn't make junk, and the premise of my book is God doesn't have stepchildren. We're all God's kids.
Yeah.
And sometimes these kids think they might have been forgotten by God. And that's where just the kindness of one person can change that, because they know that to that one person, they're important. And my experience has been God uses the most unusual people to do his greatest work.
So true.
And so just because a kid has had a difficult background doesn't mean that they can't contribute to the well-being of another child. And I think that's one area where camp is so great, where you see someone come in as a camper, learn some skills of life there, and then later become a camp counselor themselves to pass it on to somebody else because they found out that they, in fact, did have value and do have value. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, it's amazing to watch as they come back and give as counselors, and then use the skills that they learned when they were campers and watching their counselors and do it again. So it's exciting. It's amazing to watch. I get that front row view every summer. I can't wait. Real quick story. As you were talking, I was remembering. I was like, wow, so many stories. But I remember on skit night, there was one of the boys. He was in a tough group, Father, and he was shy, and he didn't want to participate. And all his counselor could do is get him to be the DJ, and everyone else was dancing in the front. But I remember as he was the DJ in the corner in the back because he didn't want to be in the front, I remember the crowd chanting his name.
Yes.
And, at the end of that routine, it looked like he was floating on air. And I think all we want is people to chant our name, to cheer us on, and to encourage us. And when you get a little encouragement like he did, and we can do anything, right? And so camp does so much. It reminds us to encourage, it reminds us that we're not stepchildren. And then even when our prayers are not answered in our timing, God still loves us. We just got to wait sometimes for those prayers and keep believing.
Well, you've been a wonderful guest tonight. We're coming into our last few seconds of the show, and I really want to thank you for spending time with us. I hope we'll stay in touch with each other because I would love to come up there and come see the camp and if it's okay with you, maybe even give a blessing.
Oh, that'd be great. You're always invited. I can't wait.
Well, very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, our guest this evening has been Reid Lopez. He's the director of the St. Vincent de Paul Circle V Ranch Camp. I want to give special thanks to the best engineer in the business, to Nick, and I want to give thanks for Gabby for getting me here on time and make sure I stayed out of trouble. And, you know, if no one's told you that they love you this week, let me be the first. And again, I thank you that every week you tune in and you allow me to be a part of your week. So until next week, be safe, know what it is to love, and have some joy. God bless.
FM and 106.5 FM. Are you determined to lose a few inches around the belly area, but you can't seem to get it done regardless of how much you exercise? Now there is a safe and easy way to use a topical gel called TC1 Gel that can help. It's a thermogenic gel that you rub on your waist 15 minutes before exercising. Then simply put on the TC1 sweat belt and start your workout. You'll sweat like crazy and feel the fat burning away. TC1 Gel boosts circulation, increases perspiration, and activates body heat to burn off more calories. Go to TC1Gel.com and use the code